It's become a pretty common theme for those following the game intermittently, but XDefiant has some more good news coming along with it. The game had a bit more revealed as a part of Ubisoft's conference today, in which it showed off a lot of cool stuff from the publisher. One thing I'm really looking forward to is the Star Wars open world project Outlaws, but for XDefiant's case in particular, we learned quite a bit. Another playtest is on the way, last gen is getting supported, the content for launch in year one has been detailed, and of course, we'll see that window for the release confirmed in this particular video as well. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to XDefiant? Anything in particular you hope to see soon? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you'll find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay updated with all things XDefiant and other FPS content. And finally, check out my friends over at G Fuel, code Espresso, getting you 20% off all items all of the time, but for the month of June, things like the tubs of hype sauce, hibiscus tea, MS melon, and others are 30% off with code Espresso, but more on that a little later. For now, let's jump into the information you should know about XDefiant and the new stuff we learned as of Ubisoft's conference today. First, one of the best things I think you could learn as a fan that either played the beta or didn't get the chance to is that if you missed it or you just want to play it again, there is another public session coming. An open session actually available for all players on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC. This is going to be something that takes place from June 21st to June 23rd, so unfortunately it's a bit smaller of a test in terms of duration, but it will be time that you can end up jumping in and playing the game, and honestly it's a lot closer to the launch build than we may anticipate here, and we'll get to that in a second. But if you're a new player, you have to register your account at playxdefiant.com, so make sure you end up jumping over to there after this video or whenever you get a free second if you have not played the closed beta from a couple of months ago. But that said, if you are a returning player, you had the ability to play a couple of months ago during that closed beta, that's something you're automatically going to be renewed into this new open play session. Your account will still stand, you'll be able to jump in and just play automatically. You don't have to register once again, you'll just be able to download and install the game for this open session come later this month. But the also cool part here with that is the fact that if you were a part of that closed beta session earlier a couple of months back, you'll have an extra day to play starting on the 20th rather than the 21st. So a little added incentive to those that ended up already taking part in it, but also it's more so on a technical level trying to allow for a steady rollout of players to not inundate the servers all at once and potentially crash them. Instead, it's something that will allow gradual growth and server load on top of that, but once it gets to the open play session, there should be already enough that everybody can jump in without any problems, sort of adding that added incentive, but really having a purpose underlying behind all of that. Now, of course, with this open play session, we have learned about from the past discussions here on the channel and from other information from Mark Rubin and the official XDefiant accounts that we'll see some changes enacted here for this. A lot of this will probably be the same in regards to build, things like TTK, health, damage, that stuff is all subject to change, of course, but the big stuff that was mentioned in terms of like big bug fixes and things that really needed to be fixed out were controller updates so that there's no longer that massive input delay for PlayStation 5 controllers. Better server stability was something that was worked on since the last closed beta, and of course, better netcode as well. So your shots should land and track properly, better than they were in the closed beta session. This all expanded upon by Mark Rubin, executive producer, during their showcase at the Ubisoft conference. So that's everything you can expect to see with the open session here coming later this month. And again, creeping up on us in just over a week's time. But beyond that, we also learned a bit more about how Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 5, and PC are actually not going to be the only platforms this is on. Now, if you're thinking like, oh, Switch or Steam Deck or something, don't get your hopes up just yet for that, but instead, we're talking about retroactive support here. Last generation has been confirmed to get support here, where the official XDefiant accounts tweeted, "We've seen your questions about last gen platform support. Last gen is actively being worked on so that they offer a similar great experience to current gen. We will launch them as soon as they are ready and update all on this topic closer to launch." So there is of course no definitive launch date on when this will happen, and it almost seems like by that wording that it's going to be not necessarily an afterthought, but not something that comes at launch. Instead, again, being added retroactively after the game is already out there in the general public, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. This giving support to players here, if they don't want to upgrade, they don't have the means to upgrade, whatever the case may be, where you'll still be able to play that, but it also does not hinder the developmental process of the game overall. So that first and foremost, the product that can live on many more years on current gen isn't going to take away from something that is just accommodating those that still, again, have not had the ability to upgrade just yet and still want to play on that PlayStation 4, Xbox One. All for accessibility here in that regard, and honestly, when it comes to the look of XDefiant, I don't know the technicalities of it, but it does not seem as in-depth a game as, say, something that really tries to push the boundaries like others that are going current gen exclusive at the moment. So that's definitely something that's nice here for those that are still on last gen. You will be able to play this here. Unfortunately, there is not anything in regards to when that will launch known just yet. But that said, let's talk about launch, because that is the other big thing here that was confirmed. We didn't get a specific date, but we did get a launch window. This being something that XDefiant is going to be launching this summer. So again, no specific ETA has been given, but honestly, we're in the middle of summer at this point right now. So I'd wager that's anytime after this play session later this month to maybe say like the end of September. So a small enough window, I think, to be excited for it all, but of course, nothing definitive that pinpoints exactly when that will happen. But one thing to remember also is that if you guys are interested in this, is that it is a free to play game and will be at launch. So it will not cost you a thing to end up jumping in and playing and experience the game. Beyond that, we'll end up seeing with launch, they detail the sort of preseason here that will happen that's going to last 6 weeks after the launch of the game. That's when season 1 will kick in 6 weeks later. But in between that point, launching with the game is 14 maps total, 10 of which are arena maps, 4 progression-based maps, 24 weapons with 44 attachments, and 5 factions of the Cleaners, Libertad, Echelon, Phantoms, and the DeadSec unlockable faction. So a decent bit to play around with here. And again, you're going to be getting more stuff here in terms of the year 1 support just 6 weeks after that launch. Now, truth be told, the year 1 content support is not as massive as, say, like a season for Call of Duty or something like that, but you will be getting steady flows of content. Similarly, I think, to how we got with like Modern Warfare 3's Elite model, where it wasn't a whole ton dropped all at once, but it is a consistent rollout of content. So with year 1, they didn't really detail anything in particular beyond the factions. We'll see debuted 4 new factions throughout the first year, 12 new maps, and 12 new weapons. So 1 weapon and map per month. Then, of course, new factions intermittently, probably about every 3 months we end up getting that. Though all of this dispersed over what is then individually season 1, 2, 3, and 4 of year 1. Season 1 will include the faction of Ruby, 3 new weapons, 3 new maps, a 90-tier battle pass, which will then roll over into season 2, which is the Buzz faction code name. 3 new weapons, 3 new maps, 90-tier battle pass. Season 3 introduces the Orchard faction code name with 3 new weapons, 3 new maps, 90-tier battle pass. Season 4, you could probably guess it, this being the faction code name of Horde, and comes along with 3 new weapons, 3 new maps, and a 90-tier battle pass. Of course, with other additions like welcome lists for beginners, practice zones, ongoing work for competition fairness, and other things like that coming along the way as well. But that's the year 1 support post-launch. Of course, 6 weeks after the launch coming later this summer, so kind of backtracking the circle all the way around, but that's what we learned about XDefiant. A lot of stuff up on deck here and in the much more near future than we anticipated. Honestly, when we saw this closed beta here happen a couple of months ago and then go radio silent for everything, I wasn't expecting this until like late 2023, early 2024 at the earliest. So to see this be something that is going to be releasing later this summer, that could be realistically maybe a month from now, maybe 2 months from now, we'll have to wait and see, but I'm excited for that. So that is what we're going to call it. That is everything we learned about XDefiant here in regards to the Ubisoft conference today and what you should know about. So that said, let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys looking forward to anything in particular out of XDefiant here? Anything that you hope to see on the channel in terms of content, or on a larger scale, anything you hope to see XDefiant introduce here from a game perspective? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. And of course, make sure you check out my friends over at G Fuel before we wrap everything up. Code Espresso getting you 20% off everything all of the time, but for the month of June, things like the Hype Sauce tubs, Hibiscus tea tubs, MS Melon, the Kamehameha, and the Soda Ice candy tubs, all of that stuff and more is 30% off. Link in the description below. So if you guys want to try something out for the very first time, which isn't a half bad idea considering starter kits are also included in that 30% off deal as well. If you guys want to check something out either for the first time or grab a restock, head over to the link in the description below. Use code Espresso to save yourself 30% off your entire order. But that said, that's what we're gonna call it. Again, drop your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.